Hi, and welcome back to No Cabin Fever today. With us today, we have Jen from Refined, and she will tell us a little bit about how to make Jira something for every team with Refined. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. Thanks, Daniel. All right, I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump right in. Okay, let's play. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, I think we're about a month and a half into this series already now. And we've had like a stellar lineup of talks. I've been really enjoying the daily 4 o'clock learning lesson. But today we're going to talk about bringing Jira to every team. So I'm the partnership manager at this app vendor company called Refined. And yeah, I've come from a marketing background, and often I'll talk to my friends and tell them about what I do, and they, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they wouldn't have heard of Jira, they wouldn't have really grasped what I do, but more and more often, my friends who work in marketing or finance or business are starting to hear about Jira and coming into contact with it more and more often. So it's become even more important today to bring Jira to every team in a way that they want to use it and they enjoy it. So hopefully at the end of the session today, you'll get a few ideas on how you can do that. But a little bit of a background to Refined. So we're a Swedish company, but we also have an office in Finland. I'm sitting in London today, so we're all over the place. And yeah, we have 8 different nationalities in this beautiful team that you see in front of you. That's me, second from the left, looking a bit weird. But yeah, so we started out with an app for Confluence called Refine for Confluence that some of you may be familiar with. This is a top-selling Confluence app and is used to create intranets or documentation or project collaboration instances with Confluence. But the one I'm going to focus more on today is our other product, which is called Refined for Jira. So we'll go more into that. We have around, over 4,000 companies using us for various purposes. So for instance, NASA uses us on a documentation instance. Airbnb uses us for their internal IT service management. Klarna is the same. So yeah, lots of different interesting examples of customers using our products. But yes, as I said, today we're going to focus a bit on this product called Refined for Jira. It used to be called Refined for Jira Service Desk, but we renamed it Refined for Jira earlier this year when we released a big new version of it. And the reason we changed it to Jira is probably self-explanatory, but that is because we added new support for Jira projects. So now with this app, you could display Jira Service Desk portals and Jira projects in your Refined site. And just to explain the app in a nutshell, essentially you on server would install it, or on cloud you would connect Refined to your Jira. And then with that, we give you the tools to be able to rework the interface, improve the navigation, and reorganize your content so that it's very snackable and helpful to the users. Some common use cases we see with this app include IT service management is a big one that I'm sure many of you have heard about, this booming method at the moment. Project management is another one, and a public issue tracker is one that I'll also touch on today. But to bring it back to the topic, so how can we bring Jira to every team using Refined? We're going to cover this today using a B2B customer example. So there are probably tons of scenarios where teams beyond IT might be coming into contact with Jira. But today we're going to focus on this B2B, so business to business example. And we're going to go through how this company called Decibel built their B2B service site using Refined. So Decibel, this is a fake company, but it's kind of a representation of the customers we have, and a neat representation, you could say that. But yeah, so to explain a bit about Decibel's goals, so they are a music streaming service. However, they offer this support service to premium and standard partners. So you'll either be a high-paying premium partner or a mid-range standard partner. And these partners were not necessarily familiar with Jira. Some would be, some wouldn't be. So that's an important thing for them to note. Secondly, Decibel wanted to be able to share their Jira issues and features under development with external parties, but in a really clean and simple way that adhered to their high brand principles and standards. And thirdly, they wanted to encourage anyone coming in and using the service to engage with it, and most importantly, come back and use it again. So the way they did this was they first got together their site plan. So they decided to have 2 service desk portals, one for the standard support group and one for the premium support group. So remember, these are the different partner levels. So you had standard partners and premium partners. So each of those had a service desk portal, and they had an additional project which was for this public issue tracker purpose. And for them, they wanted to set it up so that users from multiple teams could come into this service, submit requests, get information, report and track on issues in development. And most importantly, they wanted these users to be able to come in and be able to use Jira in all its power and mighty, but without these external teams needing to actually learn the full extent of Jira. So this was how they built it. So we're going to go through these 5 steps today. So the first thing they did was to set up the theme. So this is something inbuilt in Refined, is this theme editor. Very easy to use. You just play around with the buttons in the editor to create your look and feel, and then that is applied to your site. So here you can see an example of Decibel's theme in action. The second thing that Decibel did was to work with the structure. So this is probably the hardest thing to get your head around, but also one of the most powerful features in Refined. So with Refined, you can reorganize your Jira Service Desk portals and your Jira projects into a navigation that would suit your customers. So for instance, here at Decibel, they wanted to group the standard support and the premium support together into product support group. And they wanted to have a separate issue tracker. But you, for instance, say you have 50 customer portals, you could group them into 5 separate groups and then reapply them on this nice drop-down navigation menu that you see here. And here's a bit of a closer up view of how Decibel set up their site structure. So here you can see on the right what it looks like from the admin perspective. So this is where you reorganize your Jira projects or your service desk portals into the categories and the groups that you wish. So here we have a product support category and we have an issue tracker category, and we've just dragged in the relevant projects to each of those. And then the categories that you see here, so that's with the pink label next to product support, that sits in the top menu like you see in the picture. Okay, so the next thing Decibel did was customizing their interface. So again, with Refined, we have this really neat inbuilt layout editor. So you, if you're the administrator of the product, you will see this edit icon in the top right-hand corner. And when you open that up, it opens up the layout editor, which means you can build up content sections. And then within each section, you can add specific content. So on this page, for instance, the top section, we've just added a search module. In the second section, we've added 2 neat links to the support services. And there's a ton of options included in the layout editor that you can add in there. All right, so to show you in a little bit more detail what you can do with the layout editor, I'm going to show you how Decibel built up their layout on the Decibel issue tracker page. So this is kind of like a dashboard for the issue tracker. And remember, they wanted people from like external teams to be able to come in here and track issues, request features and interact, but without seeing full Jira. So they would come in here, and then to build this, the administrator would open up the edit, click the edit pen and open up the layout editor. And here you can see that section format that I was talking about. So they've added their search section here. And if we then clicked add module, we then see an example of the different modules that you can add to your layout. And in this case, they would add Jira issue module. And then here in the Jira issue module, you can select exactly what parameters you want to display on your interface for that external customer. So we'd save that, and then you end up with this neat view. And if I then went ahead and clicked, say, the top issue there, so social media, now you can see from the external team member point of view, a Jira issue view. Meanwhile, those normally working with Jira will see the native everyday Jira view that you're used to. This is purely just for those external team members that we don't want necessarily to see full Jira. Okay, the next thing that Decibel did was to work on personalizing the content. So this step is really crucial to meet that goal of having users come back and frequently use the service. And the way they did this was using what we call permissions. So with Refined, you can add view permissions on a site level, so you can control who sees which site. You could do it on a category level. So the category is, once again, the grouping of your projects that sits in the top menu here. So with that, you can control exactly who can see which category. You can also control who sees which project, and that's done in native Jira. And on a very detailed level, you can also control who sees which content section. All right. And if I show you this in a bit more detail, so here I've once again brought up what the admin sees on the right-hand side here. So here on the right-hand side, you'll see next to product support, there would be a settings icon where you can open that up and say, yep, only show this category to Decibel product support users. So when an external user logs in, if they're part of this standard support group or premium support group, they will see the contents on that product support page, but they won't, if they're not in that group, they won't see that. So only showing relevant content to the users visiting each page. Okay, the final step is the search or self-service. So what Decibel did here is they created a search highlight on every page or every category within their site, because they knew that their users are either going to be very search heavy or they're going to be very navigation heavy. So they wanted to cater to both, which is a really good move. And the neat thing about Refined is if they are really search heavy, then you get really strong results from across your site. So with Refined, you can connect Confluence, so you get knowledge-based article hits, and if you wish, you can connect more than one knowledge base. You can connect multiple and define exactly which space you want to connect in here. And also, because we have both Jira Project and Jira Service Desk portals included in our site, they will get hits for any relevant issues or any relevant request types to do with that search item. Additionally, what Decibel could have done is also added recommended links, and these are these are links that show up in your search results to anywhere on the web, essentially, with your chosen matchword. All right, so in a nutshell, these are the 5 steps that Decibel took to create this really engaging B2B service tool. These same steps can be applied to a number of different scenarios depending on what your use case is. And I'll just finish off by showing you some examples of some final finished examples of their site. So here is equivalent of their help center. And then I'll scroll down here to give you a bit of a look. So again, this is all built up with the content layout editor. Then you have what you've already seen before, so the navigation option. And here we have the Decibel issue tracker view. And then if I actually click on an issue, here you can see what a Jira issue looks like for that external party. And here as the external party member, I could also change this from to do to done. I could increase the priority, so I have flexibility there. All right, if you're an eager bean, then you can go ahead and click this. Yeah, you can go ahead and click this link here, and then you will be taken to a more interactive version of Decibel's site. So we use Decibel on our public demo site. So you just click there, and then you'll be able to see a more interactive version. Okay, now I forgot to mention at the start that we have time for Q&A at the end, but it looks like I already have a question coming in. So let's jump to the Q&A now. Okay, so the first question that's come in is, could you say something about the differences between Refine for Jira Server DC and Jira Cloud, if any? Any experience from migrating server to cloud? Really great question. I can tell you some of the differences. So the first thing I would say is that if you're talking about the differences, so Refined on cloud is more like an independent SaaS service that integrates Atlassian tools. So you have your Refined site, that's the independent tool, and then that site pulls in data from Jira if you've connected Jira, from Jira Service Desk if you've connected Jira Service Desk, and from Confluence if you've connected that. So for instance, on cloud, if you've purchased Refine for Confluence Cloud and Refine for Jira Cloud, then you could pull in content into your one refined customer-facing site. Whereas on server and on data center, Refine for Jira is an app that's installed onto your Jira instance, and that means where it's pulling in data in a different way. And if you wanted to, for instance, to say Confluence content, then it's connected in the same way you would connect a native Jira Service Desk to a Confluence. Whereas on Jira Cloud, it's integrated, and yeah, I hope that makes sense. And when you're referring to migrating from server to cloud, I wish you asked me this in a month because we're actually in the process of doing this ourselves. So we run our support service on Refined, on Refined for Jira server, but we're, oops. I think my time's up.
It's perfectly fine, Jen. Like as long as the people don't leave, just continue. I mean,
okay.
they are
Sorry, I just suddenly thought everyone disappeared. Yeah, so I'll come back to your question. Sorry, of migrating. I'm not a huge expert on this because I haven't done it myself yet. But yeah, I would say, I can't really give you a good answer on that actually. But essentially, if you understand how our product works on server and data center, the core features on cloud are the same. So the layout editor, the way you can restructure your service desk projects into a new navigation. That works exactly the same way. The theming capability works the same way. There's some differences with the permissions. So you'd have to maybe rethink the way you're using permissions if you're going to migrate to cloud. And we can also help you out with that. Yeah. And what else? Yeah, I think that's the main summary of it. So it would involve a rethink, but definitely doable. And the pro of moving to cloud is that you get to integrate both Confluence and Jira Service Desk and Jira all in one. Yeah, but if you do have more closer questions on this, ask our support service. So that's support.refined.com. Next question is there a customer role similar to JSD, or does every user have to be a named licensed Jira user? Also a very good question. They still need to be a licensed Jira. Oh, actually, yeah, they still need to be a licensed Jira user. Yes. So I think it works the same way as it does with native Jira. So there's not like a special, yeah. So essentially you buy, if you are 100 user Jira instance, then you need to buy a 100 user Refined for Jira instance. I hope that answers your question. All right. If you'd like to ask any more questions, you're welcome to now. Otherwise, you can email me at partners@refined.com, or even better, reach out to our support service. There are wonderful humans manning our support. And yeah, you can also see an example of Refined for Jira in action there. So that's support.refined.com. And yeah, if you haven't already done so, you're just like all apps on the marketplace, you can go and try the app for yourself.
Cool. Thank you very much, Jen, for the very detailed intro to Refined for Jira, as well as the many questions answered. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions. So I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in again to No Cabin Fever today. And I hope to see you back soon. Tomorrow we'll have Prisha Petri from OIO, and she'll tell us a little bit about Ship It Days and how to foster innovation the Atlassian way. Thanks again, Jen. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.